Welcome to the Full Nelson. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Taurus TX-22 Toro model. And this is the optics ready model, and that's this firearm right here. They have made some changes to this. This is basically a Gen 2 of the standard TX-22. This up here is the competition model. You guys that follow my channel have already seen this gun. Anyway, this is the TX-22 Toro optic ready model. I'm going to give you some information about how these compare, but I'm also going to talk about some of the design changes they've made. The main design changes they've made is this model can now be had optics ready. They do make a non-optics ready and an optics ready. Obviously, if you want to mount an optic, get the optics ready model. That's what I picked up here. So they make an optics ready model. They make, and on the previous version, I think you had to knock out like the rear side or do some wonky stuff in order to mount a red dot to it. And so that's an improvement of having this optics ready from the factory to where you can do direct mount right to the slide with no adapter plates or anything, assuming that you're using the right footprint or the right pattern of red dot. And I don't remember exactly what that footprint is. You'll have to refer to their website to find out what the footprint is, and then make sure if you do go to mount a red dot on it, that you make sure that the footprint from the red dot manufacturer fits the footprint of the slide if that's what you're trying to accomplish. Now, I am not sure if I'm allowed to disassemble this or not on camera. I think I've heard people say, well, you can disassemble for cleaning purposes or educational purposes or whatever, which is obviously what I'm trying to do here, but I have no idea how YouTube is going to react to any of this because they pretty much don't monetize any of my stuff, or they already demonetized most of my stuff. And when I asked for it to be manually reviewed or to try to figure out why it got demonetized, because I don't make anything that I think would even be the slightest bit controversial, I never get any responses, and they usually still don't monetize me. And so, anyway, I'm going to take this apart just outside of the frame of the camera. Like I said, obviously I'm not making any modifications to this. I'm just going to show you this disassembled and show you the differences of what they have beefed up on this. So if you just bear with me for a second. Let's see here. All right, here we are. So I mentioned the red dot. They also have made the barrel direct thread. So you no longer need an adapter if you want to mount a suppressor, which is awesome. I think that is an improvement, and I think they should come that way. They come with a little thread protector or whatever. You could put a muzzle brake on there, a suppressor, anything that you want. Anyway, so that's an improvement. The biggest improvement in terms of durability or construction-wise on this thing is they have made this area right here on the slide more robust. I think between people running suppressors, higher velocity ammunition, and this just being aluminum, this piece was so thin and flimsy before where your recoil spring would go, and I think when the springs wear out, it's slamming and stuff like that. People were cracking these. I had a brother that cracked this, and I really liked the TX-22, but that was a big turnoff for me, and I was like, man, I'm not sure I'm going to buy one of those because of that. And then I saw the competition model, which, if I show you this whole section of this is metal right here, so you're definitely not going to crack or break that. Once I saw that they had mitigated that with the competition model, I ran out and bought one, and it's been my favorite semi-automatic 22 by far. And now that they have come out with the Gen 2, they have fixed that issue. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly reassemble this. Anyway, so they have fixed that issue, and that's no longer a problem. So they fixed some of the shortcomings with the durability that the TX-22 originally had, and they also fixed the issue of the thread adapter or any of that kind of stuff coming loose, and the optics. So I think that's a worthy upgrade. Now, these are less expensive than the competition model. I don't remember the exact prices, but I want to say they're about $100 less than what the competition model is, which begs the question, should you buy this new updated version or the competition model? And my answer to that would be, it depends on what it is that you want to do with it. If you want it just as a training tool to practice for like your concealed carry firearm, either one of them are probably fine, but I'd probably recommend this one because I think the size and the shape and all of that are probably better that way. Some, like your Glocks and your M&Ps, you could rack from the front of the slide or the rear. You're going to have a harder time racking this from the front because they've machined all of this aluminum away. So if that's your primary purpose, this is a training tool, I would get this because it's going to most closely resemble your other semi-automatic concealed carry guns you might be using. If you are going to be using it for competition, that's where things get a little interesting, because I'm pretty sure that where this has a non-reciprocating optic and how much material they've taken out of the slide, that this has less reciprocating mass and as a result, less recoil. And if I had to put a number on it, I'd say my best guess would be 25 to 30% less recoil than what you're getting on this. Now it's a 22, might even be more than that. It might be as high as 50%. But I did feel like this gun had more recoil than the competition model. A noticeable amount, which with the 22 is interesting, because 22s have very little recoil to begin with. So I'm not saying this is high recoil, I'm just saying if you're a competition shooter and you're trying to squeeze every last ounce of speed, and the flatter it shoots, the faster you can go, the competition model might still have some merit for you. If you're anybody else, I'd buy the standard one because it's less expensive, it does everything that gun can do, and you probably won't know the difference unless you're shooting thousands and thousands of rounds recoil-wise between them. Like I said, they're 22s, they have very little recoil to begin with anyway. And if you're using them as a training tool, you probably actually prefer the one with slightly more recoil, because it's still not going to simulate what a 9mm or a 380 auto or a 45 or a 40 Smith & Wesson are going to recoil like. It's going to pale in comparison. So if you can narrow that gap a little bit, that might actually be slightly beneficial training-wise. Anyway, I think these things are awesome. My experience with TX-22s in general has been that they are extremely reliable. In fact, I think they are the most reliable semi-automatic 22 that I have ever used. And I've used Ruger Mark IVs, Smith & Wesson Victory 22, Browning Buckmarks, Ruger SR22, most of the main semi-automatic 22s that are available I've used. I have not used SIG's 22 or FN's 22. I've read enough on them and watched enough videos. Same thing with the Glock 44, I think it is. I don't believe any of those are as reliable as these. And I think most people out there would have a hard time disputing that. And so these are my #1 recommended semi-automatic 22 to train with, and just in general for fun plinking. And they're extremely cost-effective option compared to a lot of the other ones that I mentioned. In fact, they're less expensive than pretty much all of those other options. Less than a Buckmark, less than a Ruger Mark IV, less than a SIG, less than a Glock 44. And what's funny is I think they are better by a substantial margin than all of those other offerings. One other thing they have done different with the Taurus TX-22 Toro model is they are now coming from the factory with like 21 or 22 round magazines. This is a factory magazine. Yeah, it's 21, 22 rounds. They come with one of these and a standard 17 round mag or 15 round mag. And so I think that's pretty sweet that they're offering these factory mags like that. If you want to get a lot of practice in and stuff like that, that's great. Anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comments section below. If you found this video at all informative or helpful, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. That helps us grow this channel. We are independently or privately funded. We pay for everything ourselves. We are not beholden to anyone, and so we call it like it is. And if I think something's terrible, you're either not going to see it at all, or it's not going to get a recommendation from me, because I am not interested in lying to people that are looking for valid and honest opinions and information. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.